Have you ever clicked on that aisle seat thinking you were making the smartest choice on the plane? Easy bathroom access, a fast getaway when you land, maybe even a little extra space to stretch your legs. For years, that was the golden rule of seat selection. But what if I told you that in 2025, that once smart move is actually one of the most common traps passengers fall into? What if the seat that feels like freedom is now bait, carefully positioned by airlines to lure you into frustration, discomfort, and sometimes even extra fees? The old rules for choosing the best seat are broken. And today, I'm going to walk you through the hidden realities, the traps you need to avoid, and the modern strategies that frequent flyers quietly use to win the seat game without paying crazy premiums. By the end, you'll know exactly how to outsmart the airline's tricks and pick the seat that truly works for your journey. And stick with me until the end because I'll share a strategy so counterintuitive, it completely flips the aisle seat debate on its head. Let's start with the window versus aisle debate, because this is where most travelers make their first mistake. On the surface, a window seat feels like a win. You've got a wall to lean against, fewer germs floating your way from aisle traffic, and no one knocking your elbow every time the cart comes through. If you're the kind of flyer who likes to curl up and disappear into a movie or nap, the window feels like your private corner. But here's what most people forget: light. If you're flying eastbound in the morning, that rising sun will be blasting through your window for hours, right into your face. Try sleeping through that interrogation lamp. The same thing happens flying westbound in the evening when the setting sun is burning through the glass. What felt like a quiet, cozy spot suddenly feels like torture. Smart travelers look up the direction of their flight and pick the shaded side of the plane. Or they carry an eye mask so they control their light, not the sun. The window can be great, but only if you prepare for its biggest weakness. Now let's look at the aisle. For years, it was considered king. Stretch one leg out, stand up whenever you want, and you'll be one of the first off when you land. But here's what airlines have done that flips this benefit on its head. They've introduced a boarding system called WILMA, which stands for Window, Middle, Aisle. Sounds harmless, but it's brutal for aisle passengers. Here's why. Window passengers board first, and they don't just use the bin above their seat. They take the most convenient space, often the bin above your aisle. Then the middle passengers board, and they do the same. By the time you, the aisle passenger, step onto the plane, those bins are already shut tight. Now you're stuck gate-checking your bag, hoping it makes it, or doing the humiliating shuffle to stash your bag 5 rows behind you, only to fight your way back against traffic when you land. On a typical narrow-body plane like a 737, there's space for about 120 carry-ons, but there are 180 passengers. It's a math problem you can't win, and Wilma boarding guarantees that the aisle is the seat most likely to lose. Airlines love this system because it pressures you into paying for priority boarding or buying into higher fare classes. But if you know the game, you can adjust. If overhead space is critical, pick the window. If you do choose an aisle, do it only on flights where you're checking a bag anyway, so you're not stuck in that overhead bin battle. And then we get to the middle seat, the so-called nightmare of air travel. Everyone avoids it, everyone dreads it, and airlines know it. That's why they've built a whole psychology of pricing around your fear of the middle. They use it to nudge you into paying extra for window or aisle. But here's the twist. The middle seat can actually be your secret weapon. If you're traveling as a couple or even solo on a flight that isn't fully booked, deliberately booking the window and the aisle in a 3-seat row leaves that middle seat empty. Because no one chooses it willingly, it's often the very last to be filled. On quieter routes or midweek flights, it stays empty. And suddenly, you've turned 2 economy tickets into your own private row. Even if someone does get assigned there at the last minute, they're almost always eager to swap for an aisle or window, which you can happily offer so you end up together anyway. Either way, you win. It's one of the few times you can flip the airline's psychology back on them. But the traps don't end with the basic seat types. Let's talk about the front versus the back. Most people instinctively want to be near the front. They assume it means status, faster service, and getting off quicker. But think about who else pays to sit up front. Families with children, parents who need extra bin space for strollers and gear, travelers who want to guarantee sitting together. And what does that mean? Crying babies, restless toddlers, and an endless parade of people boarding past you, slamming overhead bins for 20 minutes straight. What you thought was a premium spot becomes the loudest, most chaotic section on the plane. Meanwhile, the back of the plane, the section everyone avoids, often has clusters of empty seats. Solo travelers who don't care about deplaning speed find themselves with a spare seat next to them, extra elbow room, and a calmer vibe. Sure, you might get served last, but you also skip the noise of constant traffic, and flight attendants in the back tend to be more relaxed once service is done. Sometimes what looks like the worst choice on the map actually delivers the most peace in practice. Now let's call out the seats that should come with a warning label. First up, the last row. These are the seats of misery. They often don't recline because there's a wall or galley behind them, which means you're sitting bolt upright for hours. You're right next to the bathroom line, which means endless people hovering at your shoulder, doors slamming, and odors you didn't pay for. And you're the very last to board, which means your overhead space is gone before you even reach your row. It's the trifecta of terrible. Next is the row just before the exit row. Safety rules mean your seat cannot recline to keep the exit path clear. You pay for a normal seat but get locked upright while the passengers behind you in the exit row stretch out like royalty. And then there's the bulkhead. It looks appealing. No seat in front, just a wall. But it's a trap. You lose under-seat storage, so every bag must go overhead for takeoff and landing. The armrests are fixed and narrower, making the space feel tighter, not looser. And your tray table is usually flimsier and more awkward than the standard version. If you have an infant with a bassinet, it's fine. Otherwise, most travelers walk away from a bulkhead flight swearing they'll never make that mistake again. Here's another trap that catches even experienced travelers: aircraft swaps. You book seat 14A on a spacious Dreamliner, but the morning of your flight, the airline switches the aircraft to a narrow-body 737. Suddenly, the wide seat with a big window you thought you had is now a cramped spot with less width, tighter pitch, and maybe even no window at all. Airlines don't compensate you, they just quietly make the switch. It happens all the time due to maintenance or scheduling. Your only defense is to check. In the week before your flight, and especially the morning of, open your airline's app and confirm the aircraft type. If it's changed, jump on the seat map immediately and pick the best alternative before everyone else notices. The difference of even 1 inch of seat width or 2 inches of pitch feels theoretical on paper, but in the air, it's everything. Timing is another part of the game. The most powerful moment to grab a good seat is the 24-hour mark before your flight. This is when business travelers cancel last minute and elite upgrades clear. Suddenly, prime exit rows, extra legroom seats, and forward windows open up. Set an alarm for exactly 24 hours before departure and check the seat map the moment check-in opens. You'll often find seats available that were blocked for weeks. And if you see a great option but can't move it yourself, approach the gate agent with a specific ask. Don't just say, "Can you find me a better seat?" Instead, say, "I see seat 20A. An exit row window is open. Could you move me there?" Specific requests are easy to grant. Vague ones get brushed off. Let's add turbulence and sound into the equation. If you're sensitive to bumps, the smoothest ride is over the wing or just in front of it. That's the plane's center of balance, so turbulence feels like a gentle rock instead of a snap. If you're sensitive to noise, avoid galleys and bathrooms where carts slam and doors bang all night. If you need sleep, pick a window on the shaded side of the plane, wear an eye mask, and buckle your belt over your blanket so crew can see you're secure and won't wake you during turbulence checks. Every choice you make stacks little advantages toward comfort. Families and groups can play the game too. Couples should book the window and aisle in one row, leaving the middle empty. It's the best chance at an extra seat. Families of 4 should consider splitting into 2 rows of 2, with parents in the aisle positions. Easier to pass things back and forth, and you control the cluster. Solo travelers who don't want to gamble should pick middle block aisles on wide-body aircraft. On a 3-4-3 layout, those aisles give you freedom to stand up, but reduce the odds of being woken by a neighbor, since they have 2 directions to exit. It's a subtle shift that makes a big difference overnight. And here's the truth. Airlines are constantly changing their tactics. They've designed boarding systems to manipulate bin space, pricing systems to monetize your fear of the middle, and family seating policies to pressure you into upgrades. The only way to win is to stop choosing emotionally and start choosing strategically. Use real seat maps. Know your aircraft type. Check again at 24 hours and match your seat choice to your actual mission. Do you need sleep? Then it's a shaded side window away from noise. Do you need speed? Then it's a front aisle only if your connection is tight. Do you need bin space? Then it's a window with early boarding or a checked bag. The best seat isn't universal. It's the seat that matches your needs, your flight, and the airline's boarding policy. So here's my question for you. What's your seat selection horror story, and which of these strategies are you going to try next time you fly? Have you ever had a bulkhead nightmare, a last row regret, or an aisle seat ruined by Wilma boarding? Tell me in the comments. I'll be pinning the most outrageous story. And if you found this breakdown helpful, subscribe to Visa Pro, hit the bell, and join our community of smart travelers. Because airlines are counting on you to choose on emotion, but with the right intel, you can choose with power. Fly smarter, sit better, and I'll see you on your next journey.